Well, hello. How is everyone today? I'm out on the Red Revolt, which has just come back from its service. Well, I say it's just come back. This is actually my second ride on it since the service. And that's because I went out 2 days ago in the rain, even though no rain was forecast whatsoever. But nevertheless, off I went and good ride. And then the rain stopped for a bit. And so I started filming, and I did this whole sort of 5-minute monologue, only to find the microphone had disconnected from the camera. So the scenery was lovely, but you can't hear a bloody thing I was saying. And some might consider that to be an advantage rather than a disadvantage. And then when I got it all sorted out, it started raining quite hard again. So I abandoned the whole thing. So I'll tell you as much today as I can remember. Because, sometimes when you have a little rant and rolls off your tongue quite easily because it's on your mind and you feel the passion, it's quite difficult to repeat that. Anyway, we're off today to the Brinner Forest. And when I say the Brinner Forest, most of the ride is on roads. But the forest has a little path through it of about 2 miles long. So that's our bit of gravel riding for today. Well, it's been a bit of a slow start to January. Things just keep cropping up, and I haven't been out for the last 2 days. And it's the 16th. And I've done 120 miles for the month. So, a little bit of catching up to do. Although I really need to stop being obsessed with targets and totals, and because it doesn't really matter if I do less miles this January than last January. Anyway, the point is that I still don't feel like I'm up to full strength, so I'm still riding relatively flat route. So it's a Friday morning and the traffic is madness. And the thing is, it just gets worse and worse as the day goes on. Right then, let's hope this isn't too muddy today. I never really know. This shows up on Garmin as a cycle path, but it doesn't show up on, or should I say, none of the signs talk about cycling once you get into the park. Anyway, nobody seems to mind. I've never had anybody complain about me cycling through here. Anyway, back to the bike, because that's what we're talking about today. Is the fact that, let's say straight away, the bike is riding beautifully. But boy, did I get an eye-watering bill. This bike, which is 8 months old, cost more to service than the blue one, which is 2 years old. And the two things that made it so expensive, like the blue one, it needed a new headset, which again it shouldn't have had. It if it wasn't for giant penny pinching and using cheap components. But the other one, quite a big one, was a new bottom bracket. And that was really annoying because this bike has been into treads twice. When it was new, for the bottom bracket, because I was complaining about it. It felt rough. And Treads had a look at it and they said, oh no, we've adjusted it, it's fine. And then I rode again and it was just as rough as before. So I took it back again. And they said, no, it's fine, we've adjusted it, it's fine. The fallen tree here, thought that angle looked a bit difficult. When I took it to the local bike shop, and the mechanic said, yeah, the bottom bracket's really rough, it needs replacing. Well, I wasn't surprised. So I just said, yeah, we'll replace it. But I was really annoyed because it should have been done under warranty. And why wasn't it? I mean, it's not as if Treads are going to pay. They just have to get onto Giant and say, we've got a new bike. With a faulty bottom bracket and get a refund. It's as simple as that. So it was really annoying and frustrating because, I don't know, I've given up the fight. There was a time I would have been on the phone, demanding to speak to the manager, sending a stream of emails complaining. And as I get older, I can't be bothered anymore. You know, how many times do you take it backwards and forwards to the shop for them to say there's nothing wrong? By the time you've done all of that, it's going to cost you more than the bottom bracket anyway. Should they get away with it? No, they shouldn't, but you've got to be careful you don't cut off your nose to spite the face. Maybe it's because I'm getting used to it. You know, I've said before, I've come from a country where customer service is at a completely different level. Perhaps I'm just getting used to the British way of customer service, whereby the person serving you thinks they're doing you a favour by selling you something. I went to Curry's, which is a big electrical store for people who are not from Britain. Well, when I buy something, I do like to know the ins and outs. But one of the sales assistants refused to serve me because I'd asked too many questions. He said he felt I was trying to catch him out and undermine his expertise. Well, I've had problems from day one with this bike because I've mentioned in a previous video that, you know, when you buy a new bike, they want time to set it up and everything. So they'll normally tell you to come back the following day to pick it up. So I thought, rather than drive all the way through to Swansea, pay for it, drive home, and go back for the next day, I just click and collect. And every time I go back now, they say, but you didn't buy it from us. And I say, of course I did. This is where I picked it up from. And they say, no, you bought it from the online team. and on top of the bottom bracket problem, I had a faulty cassette. And again, I took it in, they checked the gears up and down and said, no, it's fine. But on the top two cogs, the chain was jumping. And I decided to put the hunt wheels on that I'd got from the checkpoint. So I decided I'd build them up as a new set of wheels, so I'd have a spare set if ever I needed them. I put a new cassette on, and guess what? No jumping, everything fine. So it's definitely the cassette that's faulty. So the second time I complained about the cassette, they said no, they couldn't deal with it. Have to go to the online team. Oh dear. And then I went to the online team and explained why I had a faulty cassette. And then it's fairly straightforward. If you've got one on there and it works, and then you put another one on and it doesn't, it's the cassette that's faulty. But of course they can't take your word for it. They want to see it themselves. So all you've got to do is find a massive box and a load of bubble wrap and goodness knows what else, because don't forget, I click and collected, so it's not like it was delivered in a box. So you've got to do all of that, then they'll send a courier to come and collect it. You'll be without your bike, you risk the fact that the courier is going to damage it in transit, one way or the other, and then what are they going to do? They're going to do the same as the shop. They're going to run the chain up and down the cassette and go, there's nothing wrong with it. So I just gave up. So I've still got a faulty cassette. And so this bike's actually cost me a couple of £100 more than the list price, purely and simply for the mistake of doing a click and collect and the pig-headed attitude of treads. And again, I keep saying treads because if you buy it from what they call the online team, then you haven't bought it from the giant shop. So the giant shop don't want anything to do with you, even though it's owned by Treads. So you really are in a catch-22, and it shouldn't happen. It really shouldn't. It's piss poor customer service. But like I said, maybe I just expect too much because I've lived in a country where I've had really good customer service. It's kind of a given really in South Africa, customer service. So, that's my sad tale of woe. I mean, the bike is riding beautifully, and as I said, I've had to fork out. But, you know, it's still a great bike. And I'm pretty sure that I shouldn't put you off the Giant brand. You know, I'm sure if you were able to contact Giant themselves, they'd sort it out without any issue at all. I mean, you could argue that you've still got the fact that they're going to use a cheap headset, but, you know, everything else on it is fine. Well, apart from the wheels, but then that's common with any manufacturer these days. So let me know how you feel about the big bike shops and your local bike shop, because as I said, my local bike shop has sorted it out and it'll be under their care from now on, so it'll be fine. And let me know your experiences. And of course, as usual, if you found this video interesting, like and subscribe.